someone from another team asked my teammate, "Hey, why didn't you guys get Mithy?" And I'm like, "I was right there." Okay, I guess that's how it is.
Yeah, it's like, hey guys, I'm the support still. Why didn't you get rid of that guy? It's like, well, what do you want me to hear that? Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, league players are not known for their tact.
Absolutely
Anyway.
not. Well, we are back with another interview here. I don't remember when I did my last one, but they're always a while ago. That never matters at this point. I'm just happy I got somebody who wasn't an ADC. Last two interviews were two ADCs. Enough of their explanations. Let's hear from the other side of the bot lane, where I'm very happy to have Unlimited here, former Copenhagen Wolves support from, what's the years now? 11, 12 years ago, maybe a bit less, but
maybe more. I don't know.
Yeah,
I forgot.
The fact it's even a decade is kind of crazy for me at this point, because that's when I started watching. But obviously now the coach of Good Chi in the UKEL. He's come back to do some more coaching. Maybe he'll pursue further in coaching. We'll see, but we'll find out in this interview. How are you doing, Unlimited?
I'm pretty good. How about you?
Look at that. Thank you for asking. Not everyone asks, but I'm good as well. Very happy for this, because it's, you're somebody I watched. I used this excuse as well, where I was probably watching you play with Copenhagen Wolves in math class when I should have been doing, my math instead, but I was watching you guys, and the fact it was 10 years ago is kind of crazy, but it's cool to have you here. Obviously, a lesser known player than maybe other people of that era, but doesn't mean you're still not important and you still don't have things to say. So I'm going to start at the very beginning. So your first experience is playing League of Legends. It says you kind of started playing competitively in 2013, and I'll have some questions about that. But when did you kind of start playing the game originally? Was it back in 2011? Was it, back in 2009? And what kind of drew you to the game?
Yeah, I think it was around 2009. My brother just we used to play Dota, and then my brother just said, "Oh, there is this new game I've been playing," and then we just tried it, and it felt kind of like playing a copy of Dota at the time, because the games were very, very similar. And somehow, I guess I got addicted to it more. So yeah, it just sucked me in, and yeah, I kept playing for years and years. I guess there's something about the gameplay loop of League of Legends that's more fun.
I still haven't figured out what it is too. I, haven't played, gotten to the level as you, but take breaks, come back, and there's still something about League that's so interesting. I mean, that's a pretty common path at the time, because a lot of people came from either Warcraft 3 or early Dota. It's not like now where League is so defined in culture and MOBAs are so defined. People kind of came from other games. So you kind of start playing competitive in early 2013. Did anything kind of draw you to playing competitive, or was it kind of a lot of this era where it was just you met some guy and people asked you to play and you kind of start going from there?
So I've been competing for much longer, but these were not really important tournaments, right?
Right.
I grew up in an era where we would go to internet cafe and there would be a tournament, and then me and my friends would make a team, lose quickly, and then try again a few months later at a different internet cafe. So just the feeling of competing was fun for me, even though I wasn't really winning anything. But I've been doing it through my childhood.
Fair enough.
But specifically for becoming a real competitive player in League, I believe I was in my university and I was watching some. It was some tournament, it was before there was League in every region, so it was invitational tournaments. I believe it was World Elite playing versus someone else in China, and I was just seeing the crowd, I was seeing the players. I was like, holy shit, I want to do that, that's my dream. I wanna be there, And then I started playing more League, trying to look for teams, studying a bit less, waking up late, sleeping through math class.
Right.
I guess you're familiar with it.
Yeah, I am, yeah.
But yeah, it was a conscious effort because I saw a dream in front of me and I saw something I want to accomplish, and that's something I was missing. Since I was young, I didn't really have something I was working towards. So I was a bit of a lazy student, but I was doing quite well in the class anyway. But I just didn't have any goal or any drive to achieve. So this was my goal, and this I pushed myself to find any teams. Like I found some random teams. We were playing Go for Lols, and we started winning versus some good teams. So then this team disbanded, and I joined some other team that's a bit better, and then just this kept happening until we joined the first iteration of Samurai and Jeans, which was like a team that Ninjas in Pajamas wanted to sponsor, but they didn't want to be official, so they put this funny name instead, Samurai and Jeans. And it was a team with Youngbuck, with Freeze, with Extinct, and it was Cottonex. Yeah,
yep, it was Cottonex.
It was the first real pro team that I joined. And while we didn't qualify for LCS at the time, we got pretty close, and then Youngbuck just called me for the next team that he created right afterwards, which was the first iteration of Copenhagen Wolves.
So I want to actually ask you about the Youngbuck part, because looking at the all your resumes, Youngbuck is probably the person you played with the longest. I mean, you're going to be playing with him up until late 2015, and actually maybe because he hasn't been coaching as much recently, maybe people don't know, but we obviously know Youngbuck as the very successful coach, especially with Fnatic and G2. As a top laner, people can say what you want about people's experiences, but he would never had the same kind of dominance as Wicked or Soaz did in that era. How did you kind of meet Youngbuck in the first place, and was it kind of enjoyable to play all these teams with him?
Honestly, I don't remember how we met. I don't remember how the approach happened, or who messaged who.
Sometimes it just happens.
Honestly, it just happened. I don't know, someone, maybe Youngbuck added me. Maybe someone else did. I don't know. Maybe they saw me in solo queue. I was spamming Lulu at the time, probably 1,000 game in a season, and just no lifing and climbing as high as I can. I don't really remember how the approach happened, but playing with Youngbuck was quite enjoyable. He's a very, very chill dude, and we had good vibes in the team, and I feel me and him kind of were the foundations of the team, because we both created the good vibes, and we could work with any other person. So no matter who joined, they would fit in the team, because we would adapt to them, and we would allow them to be themselves. A lot of times there were players who joined the team who were rejected by the scene, and people thought that they're too toxic to play with, but we managed not only to play with them, but try with them, and become friends with them as well. So I think, playing with Youngbuck was quite an enjoyable experience, and coaching with him as well. I actually did coach with him.
Okay.
Kind of recently. Well, not recently anymore, but it was in Excel.
Okay.
It was my last team in LEC, but nothing really changed. He's the same. He's still super grounded guy, despite all his success. He was leading the team that almost won World Finals, right? This kind of unthinkable now. I think no one is even thinking that anyone can get even close to that.
Yeah, they can
nowadays. Yeah. So despite that, he's still super humble, easy to work with. Listens to other people. Is really, really impressive.
I mean, you give good explanations about that. He always did seem in the interviews I'd watched with him, he always seemed kind of a grounded figure. I think maybe people didn't expect him to become a coach because he was from a lesser team, a team that wasn't having the success Fnatic and G2 and Alliance were having. But I think, because he stayed grounded and he stayed solid, that's what kind of led him there. In terms of different personalities, we'll get to some names that are definitely known for having their personalities, but sticking with, not qualifying for LCS. So you're obviously winning a couple online tournaments. This team seems to be kind of doing well. Then you get to the qualifications, and then unfortunately don't get there. when you got there, did it feel like there was a level that kind of was higher than you were expecting, or like the team wasn't necessarily prepared for, or was it just kind of more maybe like the people's mentals weren't ready, or maybe their play wasn't there exactly at the time? Why do you think that you maybe didn't qualify right away?
I mean, for sure the opponents were like a bit more refined than our usual opponents, but at the time, honestly, I don't think anyone has figured the game out in like any way, shape, or form. And those who did, like, they just won world championships, so I think most teams were kind of just like doing their thing and like going off instinct and trying to figure things out as they go. So I don't think the gap was that big or anything. Honestly, I do think that a lot of it was just mental, because for me personally, it was like a super stressful time.
Okay.
Like I went from like chilling at the university, to like competing and on a pretty big stage kind of immediately. Like, and there was like a bootcamp in between that also just, well, it all felt very different than what I was used to. So my my nerves were always like very I don't know how to explain, but
Right.
I was always, my cortisol levels were probably like through the roof, and I couldn't sleep well. I couldn't like think properly. So it's all kind of haze for me. I just remember specifically, like I was just trying to find like even something simple, like trying to find something familiar to eat is kind of hard when you just change the environment.
Right.
I was like just trying to find plain chocolate, and I was like asking the manager, "Hey, can you get me some chocolate before the match?" And he would get me like chocolate with nuts or raisins, and I'm like, do you have anything that's like just chocolate, And he's like, no, there's nothing.
Just can't find normal chocolate.
Okay, I don't know how I'm gonna eat this. Anyway, obviously these are small problems, and
Right, of course.
It's nothing important. But at the time, like I just needed something for to comfort myself, like to feel like I'm back at home and I'm playing from home, because that's what my experience was. So it was a bit hectic time in my life, and I definitely think that it affected a lot, like the result of the games. But I mean, honestly, they were also the better team. We were a new team. We didn't practice much. We didn't have like really strategy or anything prepared. So we were just doing things. We're just playing like kind of solo queue.
So what's interesting about this is that you guys lose to Copenhagen Wolves in the qualifier, but then you become Copenhagen Wolves, because I didn't know that about the Samurai and Jeans, that Ninjas in Pajamas wanted to sponsor you guys, but they obviously end up taking the place of Copenhagen Wolves in LCS 2013 Summer, which makes sense. They're a bigger org. They were doing very well at CS at the time. So was there like any big difference when you like finally got like a big, Copenhagen Wolves had some significant CS presence as well, so they weren't like a super bit tiny org. Did anything like immediately elevate when you joined, kind of the first organization, or was it still kind of shaky?
Let's just say that at the start of the scene, there were no like really big or good orgs there.
Fair enough.
So everything was very, very amateur. So I don't know. I'm not sure if Copenhagen Wolves was already known in CS at the time or not. I think maybe they started being known afterwards. But
I don't know if they were known.
I don't know much about the scene.
Yeah, they were at least like a kind of playing some tournaments at the time. I don't think they were winning anything. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was also kind of like early times for Copenhagen Wolves. So they were trying to figure things out. But yeah, it was very hectic and very amateur. But in the end, they did fly us to the events, and we eventually did get our contracts, even if it was like 6 months later than when we started playing for them. And we eventually did get our money that was owned from the contracts, even if Riot might needed to be involved. But yeah, in the end, like all this made just funny memories after the years. But yeah, I think League is much more professional now, and like even in the smaller leagues, orgs are much more professional and much more structured. Like Gucci, for example, is probably 10 times more structured than Copenhagen Wolves were at the time.
I can see that. So obviously you don't qualify, but looking at the list, you do a lot of tournaments over this kind of summer and fall period. I don't know. I'm pretty sure they're probably all online. Maybe a couple were in person. But your team during this time when you were Copenhagen Wolves, I want to ask about, because you don't have the same three. Youngbuck is still there, but you have three different players. You have actually CowTard plays sometimes, but a guy called Exila sometimes plays in the mid lane. You have Shook in the jungle, who obviously went on to play for Alliance. And this is the one that is really interesting to me because I didn't know that you played with Rekkles for a little while. I mean, he was still, I think pretty sure he was still contracted by Fnatic, but he wasn't 18 yet, so he couldn't play. The stories of Rekkles are endless, the good and the bad, 12 plus years of him playing. So there's always someone saying something different about him. But I want to get your take. What was it like playing with Rekkles?
I mean, I think for every person, if you ask 100 people, you're going to get 100 different answers, right? Because people are, complicated. Mm-hmm. But my experience with Rekkles is that he was like a sweet kid, and he was just like, he didn't really talk much. He was just like playing the game and like playing like card games with the team. Mm-hmm. So we just had fun playing some card games when we meet up at tournaments and then go play some league. We never really had like big disagreements. So I feel like we had quite good time together. I don't know. I can't really speak for like his character nowadays, but I don't think he changed that much, to be honest. At least from watching the streams and from Los Ratones, I think he's the same guy that I met.
I mean, it's hard to judge as well. I mean, you have a kid who's 17 and is, clearly shown to be very good at the game, but, still kind of sweet and innocent to the time. So, I mean, it's good you say that he doesn't change much because, I mean, 12, 13 years on later, he's turning 30 and, certainly you hope he's still the same sweet kid. I think esports doesn't always leave people in the same great state, but it happens.
Yeah, of course he would mature and everyone would mature in this time and change. But I see a lot of similarities, to be fair, like from what I see. For the rest of the team, I think, in Copenhagen Wolves, we actually played only with CowTard. Exila was there like from Samurai Engines, but he, perhaps the Wikipedia got it wrong.
It's never perfect at this time, yeah.
We were kind of just like Shook, CowTard, Youngbuck, Rekkles, and me. This was like the summer lineup, and we did travel actually quite a lot. Like most of these tournaments, while have online qualifiers, you would travel there for the finals, and this was probably the most fun experience I've had in my life in competitive because this is what I wanted. Just go to this tournament, big stage, like the fans, the enemy team, you beat them, you have fun. I kind of feel like the stability of LEC kind of grinded this enjoyment down because instead of something you look forward to, it's just something that repeats every single week, and you just need to be prepared and you need to be on every single time. While I really like the pace of you play a tournament, then you have like maybe a week or two break, then you start preparing for the next tournament, then you play the qualifiers, then like you kind of slowly ramp up your gameplay until the finals come, and then you can rest again, and it's like much more accelerating. How do you accelerate? I don't know how to pronounce it yet. I mean, it's
accelerating.
It's more fun.
Yeah,
it's more fun.
There's more adrenaline to it, certainly. Yeah, because every time you're looking to try to win a trophy or just like be the best on stage, even if it's just for something small, you have that. Where in leagues, unfortunately, you somebody only lifts the trophy 3 times a year. Certainly, I do kind of miss this era as well, where it's kind of more fun because of the different tournaments. And I think that a lot of the lower scene, as well as we know in the ERLs, has become more structured. So it's somewhat of the same, where you don't have people kind of running to tournaments or having that kind of same, different tournament structure that Counter-Strike or Dota have. It's something I think League needs. I think we need, even if it's not just at the lower tiers, but just like the top needing kind of more tournaments where we can just, kind of watch and be excited, somebody lifting the trophy. I mean, they obviously just did first stand, so we have another, big tournament like that, but it certainly, I think, would benefit from more.
Yeah, I think it's not only the fact that we need tournaments where we see people playing versus each other. We also need some time where we don't see people playing versus each other more. So you can, like there used to be a time where the meta would change between the tournaments, and you would come up with a completely new strat, and then you would pull it out online, in the tournament, and then you can win the game of that, or like you can win the tournament of that. Now this kind of leagues are so structured, they just kind of grind down every innovation. Anything that appears is going to be copied by everyone else.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to bring out something unique. And well, the patches also come out way too often for my taste. I think you should be patching once a month, but have bigger patches.
Right.
So there's more time for competitive to settle. I know it's more fun for solo queue to have smaller, quicker changes, but for competitive, I think like you need bigger and slower changes, and then not have teams playing all the time, like not showing them play, so they can practice something behind closed doors and then bring it to the big tournament. It's really like, if you remember, like again, in those times there was Moscow 5 who was like coming with completely innovative strats and picks, and they would beat Korean teams easily with those. And this is something that is, I mean, it's really hard to happen now with the current structure.
Correct, yeah.
I would say it's hard to surprise someone.
I was actually, funny enough, I was talking with Sheepy from Unicorns of Love the other day, and I was kind of saying something similar where I was talking about in 2015 when he drafted like Udyr and Shaco in a playoff series, and like it was kind of seen as unexpected. I feel like it's so hard to do champion picks that are kind of unexpected now, because every kind of champion has been like understood from a competitive angle. Like you understand, like, oh, if somebody is going to play Shaco, how can it like actually fit into a team comp? Everybody watches like people's OP.GGs and what they play in the games that are streamed, try to understand every single potential pick. So it does feel like it's just been a symptom of not enough like change in the game over the years, and we've just kind of figured everything out over time. Like there hasn't been like a big enough change, whether it's like how all the champions work or how the map works, to like really find that kind of level of innovation. Because Moscow 5 was one of the teams that was trying all these different things. I actually think you guys were kind of doing some stuff as well, but I'll kind of talk about that.
That's kind of my thing. I like to try stuff. Nice. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But it's what I find fun in League. I actually have to disagree about. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Before
we
go to
the
next
please.
One, but I would say that the league is not figured out at all, and it's not really changing all that all that slow. Because like, when was the last patch in football, or like when was the last patch in chess, and like people still haven't figured out chess after like hundreds of years. So imagine something complex as League. I think we're not even scratching the surface of what's possible in this game. I think it will be like hundreds of years before people actually figure out all the intricacies of everything happening in the game, if ever. Like, there is like more possible chess moves than there is atoms in the universe. Well, imagine how many like moves are possible in League of Legends. That's like a much more dynamic game, right? Like it's literally impossible to calculate all the moves and all the possibilities. So I think we're very far from figuring anything out, and I think people don't really understand the champions in such depth either. Like you can understand surface level, but understanding like in depth so many champions is very, very hard. And I think you can still bring out surprising picks and pocket picks really easily, as long as the people playing them understand more intricacies of the pick than their opponents, which honestly is not that hard.
No, I might have misspoke a little bit. I mean, I 100% agree that like the game is never completely figured out. Patches are no patches, like you said, that we're still figuring things out. I mean, 160 plus champions. Just the draft alone is, I don't even, millions and millions of different combinations that could go into it. I actually trying to think exactly how I wanted to word my point. If I meant it more from like an entertainment level or not, it doesn't matter. I'll think on it later. Regardless, I do think you're right that the game still does provide a lot of variety and depth.
Yeah, I think I would agree with you on entertainment. Again, there might be something missing for sure.
Right. I think a lot of people unfortunately feel that that kind of spark is not there anymore, but maybe we'll talk about that as it goes on. So we get down to the end of the year. You are, about to try to qualify for LCS promotion again. Were you, I actually don't know this, were you automatically invited for last time, or did you have to qualify for the qualifier again?
We got invited, I think, because we won most of the offline tournaments.
Okay.
Like they were somewhat connected to the qualifier at the time. If I remember correctly, that was the case. I don't remember the exact system, but yeah, it was something about the tournaments and like the placements. Like we got invited to a qualifier at least.
Okay.
And then I think we had to play online qualifier before we played the offline matches to qualify to EU LCS.
I want to ask you, before I actually go into more depth about the qualifiers, I don't want to let this point go. I want to ask you more about you as a player. So, from pretty much everything I've seen, you've played support the entire time. I don't know exactly how that's, carried on before you started playing competitive, but you also started playing competitive support at a very interesting time, because that's kind of when the support role became more defined. It wasn't just like you had the new support running around being a ward bot, or like the Sona support or Janna just protecting the AD carry. Now it was more seen that because of Mad Life, plays that could be made from the support. Eventually we're going to get Thresh in 2013, or he might have been late 2012 actually. People start using Blitzcrank more and Alistar more as supports, and Alistar was kind of more of a top jungle at the time. What to the questions, how would you kind of define yourself, as a player, your playing style, and what kind of drew you to support and kind of kept you liking the support role?
I think I'm more of an innovator. I'll try to find something new and different and try to use it. And I said sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I also feel like while I wasn't the best mechanical player, I was I was unafraid to make mistakes. So that would help my team find engages, get leads in bot lane, just the fact that I didn't care if I die or not. I just wanted to make something happen. So I was definitely a playmaker, although not a very good one. Sorry, what was the other question?
Yeah, sorry, it was two. I guess one was what would you say your play style is, and kind of what made you enjoy the support role so much? I'm guessing it was because of that innovative part.
For support, honestly, I tried different roles, and when I played support, my LP skyrocketed. It's
okay.
I was when I started, I was playing at a 1.4k LP, and just playing some mid lane, some jungle. I don't know, I was just trying stuff around, and then suddenly I started playing support only, and then I just won everything. So I guess it just fit me. I think I'm pretty empathetic, so I can understand what my AD carry is thinking, or what my other teammates are thinking, without them needing to tell me. So I adjust my play style, and I try to help them however I think is best. So yeah, I think just the cooperation and the empathy is what drew me to the support role. And I played a lot of Lulu, I played a lot of Janna, I played a lot of Lulu. I was protecting my team at the time. Before I went to playing Fiddlesticks and Annie and Leonas and other playmakers.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird role. I definitely think it's one of the ones that innovation, especially in this era, did benefit from, because kind of, I guess 2014, 2013, we did start seeing Annie more as a support. Fiddlesticks was kind of he was kind of already around as a support, but obviously still seen as a jungler. I guess Trundle support was a thing that came that's like 2015 later on though, so that's maybe a bit later. But
Yeah, I mean, I played it a bit as well.
Okay. I think support is still something that like innovates even now. I mean, we talk about, Carrier a couple years ago playing, all the different 80 carries support. I mean, in your era, we never would have thought Ashe could be a support, but I mean, it's also because the items were different though.
It's a combination, yeah.
So going into qualification, you have a new team. You have, two new players. CowTard's still here. You have Amazing, who I guess he was only on TSM for like half a year. It feels like he was on there longer, but both TSM and Origin, he would go to Worlds for. And then you've got Forg1ven. You want to talk about rumors in terms of toxicity. It seems like even nowadays, Forg1ven has kind of a legacy behind him. Now, I've heard many stories about him, both good and bad. Certainly, he's, got a reputation, but please tell me.
I mean, I've addressed this many times before. Yeah, if you meet Forg1ven, he's a super chill dude. You're gonna joke around like he's. You will have good time. Like if you meet him. But unfortunately, online and like solo queue is a different environment, and I think quite a lot of pro players are not like on their best behavior there. So that's like very big reason why like he got this.
Reputation,
this fame, I guess, or infamy. But the other one is like just cocky interviews, which, to be honest, I mean, it's really good to have. Like I wish I did more cocky interviews.
Right.
But yeah, if you meet him in real life, he's like a super chill dude, like very funny. And as he grew, he became like a lot more mature as well. Like when we first met, we were both barely like out of teenage years, so there were a lot of clashes, but we learned how to play together. We became good teammates. So yeah, I think if you want to work with someone, you will find a common ground, and I think that's something that a lot of teams are missing nowadays. Like just the will to try to understand the other person and work with them, instead of just going off the first impression and just giving up.
What was Amazing like? Because Amazing was on your team for about half a year. He's still around too. He's been coaching in America from the college scene for a little while as well. From what I always kind of heard and saw from him, he always seemed like a guy with a pretty good mind for the game and seemed rather calm and collected. But like you said, in the server is always different. So what was he like as a jungler?
I mean, he was just good mechanical player. Like same with Forg1ven, at the time. Like, I think no one was like very smart about the game.
Right.
So we were just like kind of playing solo queue style, and like if you're better mechanically, then you're gonna make it work. And yeah, they were both were very, very good mechanically, so they were making things work. Like you need to understand that at the time, this is not even a time where we have like any structured reviews. There was no coaching stuff. We were not really reviewing our games all that much, like very few. We would just play, and yeah, Amazing. He was. I mean, I don't know. It's a very different character as well. He was more on the serious side. But I think it's because he's German. Don't want to be like nationalist or anything. But I think that comes with being German.
Sometimes,
just being more like collected and more like reserved and more more strict. But I think as also with years, he also became a lot more chill because I also coached him at some point.
Okay.
When he was still a player and I was a coach. And there, like I made a lot more like relaxed and confident and funny guy,
Right.
So yeah, I would say both were good teammates, but we basically didn't really like. We just played the game, just played the game and whatever happened.
So your qualifiers are pretty easy. You guys sweep the group stage and then meet your makers 3-1. I mean, but the thing about this qualifier is it's known for the Ninjas in Pajamas team kind of falling apart to the Polish team, which, you know, had Jankos and Vander. We didn't know how good they were yet. But you played all of these teams. You know, you played against a Freeze, Mithy bot lane. Obviously, you played with Freeze. You played against Vander and Selivar and Jankos as well. Actually, you played against Super Hakuru as well with Mr. Rawls. But did any of these players, bot lanes, just anyone in general from these teams kind of stick out to you to be like, that guy's extremely mechanically good, he's going to be like the next thing?
I mean, Mithy for sure. Mithy was like a standout. Like I think if you look at his profile at the time, like he had like almost no support games. He was like a Gragas mid and Anivia mid, I think, like 90% of his games. And whatever champion he would pull out, he would play it on a very, very high level. I actually even witnessed a conversation where like someone from another team asked my teammate, "Hey, why didn't you guys get Mithy?" And I'm like, I was right there. Okay, I guess that's how it is.
Yeah, it's like, hey guys, I'm the support still. Why didn't you get rid of that guy? It's like, well, you know, what you want me to hear that? Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, league players are not known for their tact.
Absolutely
anyway,
not.
I think like at the time it did shake my confidence a bit, but yeah, I kind of also agreed that even when playing Lulu, which was my main champion, Mithy seemed to like have just a bit higher level of execution than me. So I definitely like thought this is a guy that I like that worries me. You know, like this is a guy that's hard to play versus. But apart from him, honestly, I don't know. Playing felt so easy at the time, you know. Like we just played the game and won. Like we didn't know why we were winning. We didn't know like what was happening. We just were winning and doing it easily because at the time we were like undefeated in the amateur circle. Like we were getting first place versus everyone. Our like strongest opponent was like a Spanish team that we also considered weak, so we I don't know, I didn't really feel like there was an opposition at the time. Maybe everyone else was just worse. Maybe just my teammates were too good. I don't know. I never like revisited those games to like analyze what actually happened, but it just felt super easy playing the game, and we just had fun and enjoyed winning, you know.
Well, you know, it's funny you say the thing about Mithy, you know, being so strong. Obviously, he would go on to have a great career, probably the best Western support ever, aside from now Mickey X taking that, maybe Hylissang as well, but that's a debate. The funny thing is that you wouldn't get to play him until summer of 2015, because in Origin he had to qualify through challengers, and then his Ninjas in Pajamas team didn't qualify to LCS, and then I'm pretty sure he got banned for like half a year for toxicity. I think that was when him and Nukeduck got banned.
Yeah, I remember something like that happening. Yeah.
So now you're in the league, you're in the LCS, and it's, you know, now it's starting to get bigger. Worlds Finals 2013 was a big step up because it was in the Staples Center. So league scene is currently growing a lot. If I'm correct, you guys as a team are now going to move to Cologne, right, and be in a team house together?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the first time anything like that had happened. Like that, it was going to be not just a couple weeks playing with each other and then going back to, you know, where you're from. Now it's going to be consistently together always. Was that kind of tough in the beginning, or was it because you were all friends that it was just kind of felt natural?
It was a bit tough, but not because of the players. It was, as I said, things were hectic at the time, and we did not get gaming house until like either the end of the first split or like towards the end of the first split. So we're just traveling from a hotel to hotel in Cologne, and we're changing hotel every week. I don't know why. We would just travel with all our bags. We would practice in Riot Studios where we get trained to get to. So it was a bit hectic, but once we got the gaming house, I think it was much better. Although, I mean, still having pretty much like 5 teenagers unsupervised in the gaming house is not the best thing you can have. But I think some of my teammates were like quite mature at the time, and they kind of like helped structure things. Like especially Youngbuck and CowTard were like the mature guys that just would guide everyone like in the out of game sense. But it was fun. It was fun. Once there was a gaming house, it was fun. We even had the sauna in our gaming house. I
Oh,
don't know
okay.
why. It's like
Just
on the
lucky.
upper floor. We were like in the village out like an hour outside of Cologne. So I guess the prices there were quite cheap. So they just got the sauna. I don't even know they knew that there is a sauna when they got it. So yeah, it was a nice gaming house. It was a lot of fun stories. Yeah, also had quite a good time there. I think this is one of the good memories as well.
It's certainly something that I remember, at that age, I was 14 when I started watching the league in 2014. And that was, I think, something that a lot of us, kids my age, boys my age, were like, oh, the gaming house, you're playing with your friends all night and stuff. And, it wasn't kind of until later on that more problems would emerge, or we'd hear about them more, at least, from like you moving around a great deal, or, just people not necessarily working together, just, being in the same place all the time. There was those old HyperX like reviews of the gaming houses I remember back in the day. And it was like, Cloud9 players were like all sleeping in the same room, or like, two to a bed. And, it's just a very different experience now, because I think people are pretty used to either like living by themselves or like living with somebody else and then going to like the office where you train and play. Now there's because it's become more of a job, I think people have to accept that there needs to be a little bit more separation. But the fact you found it fun is good. I don't know if I could, because I'm more used to living alone, but we'll never know. Do I want to actually, before I go, I do want to go more into the spring split of 2014, but I want to ask about this because you mentioned about how you guys didn't think you had this will kind of tie into 2014 at least, but from the games I watched, it seemed like you did have a style, because I felt like you were lane swapping more than other teams. Now, this was an era where lane swapping was not like it was last year, where it was you put the bot laner top and then you do it so that they do the thing where in the game now you can't be out of your lane for a certain amount of time or you get penalized. Now the game restricts lane swaps, but back then lane swapping was not only common, but it was pretty common to be like, you'd see the bot lane and the mid lane, and you'd see the mid lane and the top lane. Like, it seemed like everybody would go everywhere. It was just whatever matchup was best. Is that kind of how you thought about the game in the lane swaps? You were just, okay, this matchup is better, we'll put you here, no matter kind of what the roles were?
Yeah, kind of. We're trying to find like edge from the draft. So we like CowTard plays Kassadin, and sometimes people try to counter him, and then we might try to do a swap, or like enemies might pick a Kassadin against us, and then we bring an AD carry mid lane, and then it's actually really hard for them to play. But whatever we thought of was very surface level. It's like we never went deeper into the strats, and we never analyzed them, why they work and how they work and how to replicate it. Because we actually had a game versus Alliance in the summer split where we just completely destroyed them by swapping me and the AD carry into mid, and then controlling the map through the jungle, like me roaming together with the jungle, which became meta like maybe 3-4 years later.
Right.
That's where teams caught up to it. But if we had the presence of mind at the time to actually analyze the game and see, hey, why did it work? What did we do right? And how did you do it? We might have came up with it at the time, because we just did something good and then we never could replicate it. And I think that's the problem. We never reviewed what we were doing, whether it was right or wrong. We just went with it and like went off the wild ideas and hope that they're gonna work.
What's really interesting about your answers is I'm thinking about the interviews I saw with Forg1ven before and kind of his analysis to some of these questions as well. But what I'm kind of understanding is that he gave what seemed like more detailed answers, but I'm understanding why. It's because it was of the time. Those were interviews in 2014 and 15, and I think at the time we thought like this was like the level of like foresight that was needed. We're like, okay, we just we're swapping the lanes because that's what the matchups we want, and that's like the what's doing well. Because we haven't had like the years of like understanding of this tactic is actually like not something like super refined, where we have all this insight to be like, hey, we could have done this better. Just at the time, it seemed better. It's kind of like in football, you have tactics that worked, 20 years ago, but they, were thought of at the time as the best tactics 20 years ago, and you didn't think that there was anything better until years of understanding later, and you're like, oh, we didn't really think about that. So I think a lot of that for all of these teams comes down to it, because like you said, even the lane swap wasn't that refined. Like 2015 is when they started doing the thing where it was the junglers and the bot laners top, and they would just like shove the turret really early and get the first turret down super early, which introduced place to the game. So I think just how we think about the game, because it's been a longer time, is starting to develop more, where in football in the very beginning, they didn't even think goalkeepers were necessary, and you think about how different the game is from them now. So I think just the more we talk about it, the more we think about what the tactics used to be like, the more we kind of understand like what was bad and what was innovative and how we can go forward.
Yeah.
Simple as
reflection
that,
is really important. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And to be fair, Forg1ven was quite knowledgeable in his own matchups,
Right.
like the details of his role, but like then we need to understand how these tie together, and how to make them work together, because we didn't even care about any jungle pathing, we didn't understand how jungle paths. We pushed bot lane 2v2, and if enemy jungle comes, we try to 2v3 them. If it doesn't work out, flame our jungle. That's
classic.
That's about
normal.
But yeah, I'm sure everyone had their own ideas. I had my own ideas for my role, but we didn't bring them together and see how they fit together to play as a team.
Well, it was also pretty, the stories at the time were also pretty classic with Fnatic, because some players on, I guess I'll say, so as an XPK were more known to be partying a great deal of nights before games and such, and then just would kind of show up and, good chunk of the time win the whole league. I mean, Soaz was famous for like barely playing solo queue games and barely playing new champions. He would play a new champion like twice and then bring it out somehow in LCS. He was just kind of one of those players that was lucky at that. So it's like you said, there wasn't really like structure as yet to reflect on. I'll talk about the coach you got when we go to next year. But just out of all these teams, I mean, there's a lot of talent here in the 2014 Spring Split. You get sixth with 13 and 15 record. So sixth, there's 8 teams here. 6 make playoffs. So you squeak into playoffs, performing pretty decently. I mean, the league is super up and down this year. SK ends up first place. Fnatic is famous because they had those 8 games they lost in a row to like almost every team. One of them being yours, where there's a game you like absolutely destroyed them. What did it kind of feel like the first time playing in instead of just the tournaments, where like you said, it's a couple weeks and then you prepare for the next tournament, but now it's the same people day in and day out?
I mean, honestly, it was tiring. Like you don't get time to rest, you don't get time to regroup. You have a bad week, tough luck. You need to start preparing. Like for the next week, and it's already coming. In a couple of days, you're gonna play again. Especially we had these super weeks where we would play 4 matches in the same.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it depends, of course, but
but it was all weeks were brutal.
Yeah. And it's like you need to prepare for different opponents. You need to prepare different drafts. And really not enough time to actually prepare properly for anything. I think it was honestly it was too much, and it was quite tiring, and it's hard to keep motivation. I miss the practice loop that I had in the previous year, where we would just go home, rest properly for like a week or 2, and then come fresh, with new ideas, new motivation, and then like go for it hard again.
Right.
Because for me, I can't be like kind of resting, but kind of practicing. I'm either 100% resting or 100% practicing. There's no in between. Like I've always been like that. I can be either on or off. There's no like semi on or something like that. I just can't do it. My brain doesn't work that way. So I really needed time where I can be off, and there was no time like that. So I found it really hard to rest, but I also found hard to practice because, I guess my body needs rest. So I'm just end up procrastinating, but I don't feel rested after the procrastination, and I don't become better. So it was really rough. I really dislike this kind of environment. At least as a player. As a coach is a bit better, but still it's quite tiring if you have 3 months where you need to be on the whole time, instead of just like a couple of weeks or a month. There is a limit to how much like motivation you're gonna have, and you need to find your sources as you run out. So yeah, not a fan.
And I don't think if people necessarily knew, like maybe know what it was like the schedule back in the day, because the old best of one style with 10 teams was you play 18 games in a season. This was 8 teams. You're playing each other 4 times. You're playing 28 games in less than 3 months, which is quite a lot. And like you said, sometimes it's 4 in 3 days. And I can definitely see that getting tiring, and only so much time to, your brain is tired, and you can only reflect so much, and you can only, think about what you did wrong in the next game, and then you're already off to, trying to focus on the next team. Despite that, like I said, a lot of talent here. Was there any, what did you feel like you were confident into every single game that like, okay, we can beat pretty much anyone, not just you as a team, but you guys as a bot lane? And was there any team that was like, you feel like you really struggled against, or just, couldn't get through?
No, I mean, it's part of my personality trait, but I'm always confident going into a game. Like I feel like we can beat anyone, and I still feel this way as a coach. Like some people just see, oh wait, we're playing versus this specific team. Like how can we win? But for me, it doesn't even account for it. Like I don't care about the record of the team or how good they are, because depending how we show up. Like if we're like at our 110% and they're at their 80%. Even versus the best team, it's possible to win. Add a bit of cheese to that, and to like push it a bit towards your side, and then you can win versus anyone. So I honestly felt like we can beat anyone, and I felt pretty confident versus everyone. For teams that we struggle versus, I think Unicorns of Love was one of the teams that we struggled versus. But to be honest, I'm not sure why, but I never analyzed it. But I think we had like a pretty bad record versus them. And like Moscow 5 or Gambit Gaming, well, for them, to be honest, I kind of knew why, but yeah.
All right. I mean, I think Unicorns of Love some of that similarities, because you would see maybe more random picks when it came to Unicorns of Love. I mean, they pulled out weird stuff. They pulled out old Poppy Top, but back when she had the ultimate where she was invincible, or semi-invincible. I always forget how that worked, but they were pulling out like I said, the Shaco and the Udyr. So there's lots of kind of maybe unpredictable stuff like Gambit, where you just had a top laner who just I love Darian. He's one of my favorite players ever, because he just did not give a fuck about anything, and he just was there just to play his weird Renekton and building like Ohmwrecker and Hourglass on it. You had Genja, who was just playing Corki the whole time, building Randuins on it. So that team, and Diamond Prox was obviously known as like the savant who kind of defined the jungle with the Lee Sin and all the different jungle picks. So I think that team always had some, kind of, when they were still 5, even in this era when they weren't as dominant, I think they still had some threat. So in playoffs, I don't know how much you remember about that time, but you have 2 series that are both best of 3s, and you lose both. There's your first against Alliance, who were 3rd place, as you were the 6th place team. And it was a pretty close series. You unfortunately lost. But then you had the Gambit one, which was also a 3-game series that you lost. And then you go to relegation from there, because it was such a bizarre thing where you can make playoffs but still go to relegation.
Yeah, that was the only time that could happen. We managed to make.
That was such an odd thing. Yeah, it was somewhat funny, but I mean, it made the.
We enjoyed the relegations. For us, this was like our comfort zone, so we thrived on those.
Mm-hmm. But I'm curious. Do you think that, like, say you beat Alliance in that game and you go to the semifinals, and maybe you don't make the finals and make the 3rd place match, and maybe you get top 4? Do you think being a top 4 team could potentially draw like better people to your team, as maybe you lose some better pieces in this time, as you're going to switch some players from spring to summer?
I think we'd probably not switch players, how it goes. If the team is winning, then like everyone is happy, and then we continue. Of course, losing harsh, if I remember correctly, to Moscow 5, it was like a pretty hard games. Like they were hard to play. So they definitely didn't feel good for anyone, and of course it affected like if someone else gets another offer, they're gonna leave the team because they don't feel confident in the team anymore,
Right.
But yeah, that's how it is in league, like a team can barely make it and then suddenly win the whole thing, and then everyone is happy, everything is good. But if they don't barely make it, then it's the team is gonna disband. So a lot of times it can be on these like small details. It's possible that if we won our first series, that we would feel more confident and like better for next series, and maybe win that one as well. Find the right strategy. It's hard to tell, but yeah, in the end we lost. So this is what happened. The team kind of got separated, and to be honest, I'm happy with the players that we picked up. So I wasn't disappointed with them. They were good players, and we performed pretty well with them as well, I think. So like I don't mind what happened, but of course, yeah, there is always what could have been if we stick together, because a team that sticks together can always become much better in the future. Team that changes players can never build synergy. So
Yeah,
that's something that everyone still struggles with
certainly.
even today.
I think certainly a lot of, as we know as coaches, it is interesting because you win a few games, you win a few scrims, and the team feels like they're on top of the world. But then, you do lose, you start losing more, and then morale is just so low, and you have to sometimes I just struggle just to keep the team together. Be like, yes, I know we're losing, but we can win again if we just keep going. Like this is a natural process, but sometimes it's hard for teams, and I'm sure in that era too, because everything was more player based, more just kind of solo queue, whatever. And we play here as long as the vibes are good. If the vibes go down immediately, they go. So obviously, Amazing goes to TSM, which is a bigger offer. More money was in LCS. I mean, not as much at the time, but it was getting there. What kind of happened with Forg1ven? Because I actually don't know this. Did he choose to leave on his own?
So there was I don't remember because it was a bit messy at the time. Like it was after our losses and everyone was down. Maybe everyone was fighting, which happens a lot of times after losses. But I think he also had an offer from another team, so he was gonna join that, and I think, but in the end, like it didn't happen. But we already chose a different AD carry. Like it was a bit messy. I don't remember the exact details, but I think it wasn't. It was just a combination of things. It was not intentional of anyone specifically, because we wanted to stick together if possible with the lineup, and I think Forg1ven in the end wanted to stay with the team since he the offer that he got from like a better team got rescinded. But yeah, in the end we just stuck with the new people.
I mean, in my opinion, from that era, I think Forg1ven was certainly one of the best ADs in the league. I mean, who could have touched him? I mean, I feel like Tabs wasn't. I mean, the Rekkles was probably the only one. I don't think Tabs was as good as what Forg1ven provided.
I think Forg1ven was the best at that time. Okay. He was the best player, but it's like, it just we probably could use a coach there, like to make a level-headed decision. Right, but then when the tensions are high, then people want to leave. It's like you might end up making decisions based on emotions rather than a logic. So yeah, once again, I don't remember exactly how it happened, but it was messy, and that's why it's like there's just too many factors happening. But I think no one was super happy with it. Like I don't think Forg1ven was happy that he ended up leaving, and I don't think we were happy either about not playing with Forg1ven at the time. But it just sometimes it happens, unmediated situation with teenagers, a bit more than teenagers, right? Can get quite messy.
So we're going to into 2014 summer, and I do appreciate the way you say like, oh, I like the players we brought in. I will be at least a little bit less nice and be critical because, for honest, you guys did get last. Now you were tied for last. You got 8 wins, which it's not like you went 1 win. Like next year in LCS, Team Coast would go like 1 for 17. That's much worse. But I think that I would certainly say that both the players you brought in. I mean, there's a few different players you played with in mid and jungle. But I think Woolite and Airwaks, my opinion, as someone who watches, were downgrades, unfortunately. But regardless, you guys were losing a little bit more. Did the atmosphere feel worse than the last team, or did it feel better, but you just couldn't get something going in the game?
It was pretty decent because, well, Woolite is a very funny guy. So you need to have a thick skin to appreciate his jokes, but because they will be at your expense. But
Of course.
But yeah, he's a very funny guy. So I think we had a pretty good atmosphere going. But yeah, we were just not as good at the game. It's true they were not as good as the players that they replaced. But on the other hand, I mean, there were very few, like Amazing ended up being one of the best junglers in NA, you know, and then Forg1ven was the best AD carry in Europe. So it's hard to replace them, you know.
Right, of course.
And for Airwaks, we just like looked through the list of solo queue, and then it's like, you know, we didn't even know the guy. We just like look at the top solo queue players, and then we just like saw a jungler that's not in the team, and we're like, okay, let's message this guy. But end up, I mean, he ended up being quite mechanically proficient as well. I think maybe he was even better mechanically than Amazing, just not as good at communicating or like
shot calling, strategizing.
The team. Like, yeah. I think like he's the one who created the Airwalk, which was like a leasing queue on one person and then like double in the air, like to kick another person. You know, at the time that was like innovation. That was not something people did. So yeah, it's like I actually remember specifically there was so with Airwaks, I felt like the Rek'Sai and Barrow is a target skill, you know, that you can't miss it. And then when we switch junglers, I don't remember even when we switch junglers, but yeah, I remember with my new jungler, and suddenly I realized, hey, this skill is actually you can miss that. I'm like, oh, you actually can miss that. It's not a guaranteed hit. But yeah, I think both were actually mechanically quite good, especially Airwaks, but both were not the best at communicating and like working with the team. And that's something we had to figure out, which we got better towards the end of the split when some coaching got involved as well. It was like the first real coaching that we got. And yeah, it was working actually. It was working, but then we had another roster change, you know. It's usually like that.
Yeah, I mean, you go at the end. You go from actually, I'll say one point about Airwaks, which, yeah, from what I remember, I definitely don't think he was like a terrible player. I thought he had some decent mechanics. Just the part that I always think about him is, I don't know if you remember this, but you guys, I think you played at Wembley one time or in England, and there was he stepped on I think it was Airwaks. Yeah, he stepped on a Nidalee trap and died just from the trap itself. He was so low health, and Froggen like freaked out. He was like, "How did I kill him? I'm not even alive." So that's how I always remember Airwaks. You know, maybe it's a blunder, but he gets remembered at least.
Yeah, I think this specific series maybe we're more stressed than usual because that Wembley, like it was out of you know, we got used to playing now our weekly matches with a small audience. And then suddenly we're back to the big stage, and like
it's a bigger stage.
It was a huge audience in Wembley. Like they were shaking, you know, like their voices were shaking the tables. Damn. You know, it was crazy atmosphere. I myself did. I remember actually specifically doing like insane thunder those games. So yeah, Airwaks is not the only one. I think we're all a bit shaken from like doing something unusual, and especially for Airwaks, he did not have the experience before. Like he was just a solo queue player, you know, and it's like maybe 2 weeks into playing competitive, he suddenly goes to like to perform in front of the huge crowd. I wouldn't judge him from that. Like I specifically lost as a game versus Super Hot Crew because I played like Annie versus Morgana, and I did like a super cocky dodge level 1, and I was completely demolishing them with my level 1 trades, and then I like my inner timer for Morgana Q was wrong. And then I got caught by a second queue, and then I just died.
Tough.
And then they snowballed on us pretty hard from that. So But yeah, I wouldn't judge him on that. Like I
Nah,
really
of
think
course.
Airwaks was a good mechanical player, and Woolite was a at least decent mechanical player, pretty good as well. Just he's not forgiven, of course.
He definitely was seen to be a decent player. Unfortunately, he's going to go to that Rocket team in 2015. That's going to have Nukeduck. I forgot who was playing. I think it was Overpower was playing in the top lane. And this was Jankos and Vander were still there, and that team kind of flopped. But we'll talk about that in a second. Actually, I do want to say the Wembley part is interesting because I wonder, headphones were a big talking point back in the day where it was like, oh, people can still hear the crowd and stuff, and that's why like Counter-Strike sometimes would use booths and Dota would very commonly use booths. Nowadays, it's not really a problem. We have good enough headphones and head setups where that's not really a problem. But I wonder how much like hearing the crowd themselves just from being on stage, not having a booth, having bad headphones could have affected that as well.
I mean, to a certain extent. To be honest, I don't remember like to what extent like the noise was leaking, but I do remember hearing the crowd though, like they would react very strongly towards some plays. So yeah, it definitely affected us at the time. But, I mean, on the other hand, it's a fun experience. Like this is what drew me to League to begin with, so I can't complain.
So, like you kind of mentioned, after this split, you're gonna obviously you get last, you go to relegations, but you do have another change. You're gonna bring Søren in. I actually remember when I was a kid. I thought CowTard and Søren were the same player, but that was just because I don't know why I thought that, because I remember Super Hot Crew had Selfie as a mid laner, and he changed his name to Corey when they went to MYM, and for some reason I thought the same thing happened, and he was just like, oh, he just changed his name. So I know now obviously he's a different player, but just me as a 15-year-old not paying attention. Did you feel like was it kind of CowTard leaving on his own, and you were like, or was it like we want Søren, he's the better player?
I think it's combination of him living on his own and us like, well, I think it was all still related to us losing in the previous, like in the series, in the playoffs and stuff.
Okay.
So in general, CowTard was quite old for esports age. I don't remember his exact age at the time, but he was close to 30s, I think. So while we were like early 20s. So he was like the mature guy, and I think he just like, he wanted to step back. And he probably felt a bit responsible for the games as well, as we all did,
Right.
And then I think that affected like how. Yeah, I don't remember exactly, but I think it was him. But maybe there was like some fighting within the team that caused the decision to begin with.
So now we're moving into 2015, 2014. You have a pretty easy qualifier against H2K. You beat them very handily. This H2K isn't what the 2015 one would have. This one had it had Ottawamene and Hjarnan, but it had Trashy, who would play for Splice later, and then I think he's even I think he's coaching now. I actually don't know who he'd be coaching for, but I think somebody.
Yeah, he goes under the name Cold now.
Okay.
But yeah, he's been coaching some big teams. I don't remember where he is right now, but yeah, he's been around. And they also had AOD and Hjarnan.
AOD and Hjarnan, and then they had Copenhagen as well. I mean, Hjarnan was a decent ADC, but I think he was more known for when they got Kasing or when they got Vander in on H2K. That was kind of the better players for them. But Hjarnan had a good career. Many times in Worlds. But you beat them easily. You're back in LCS. Now, you're going to get an old friend back because Woolite, I'm going to guess, got an offer from Rocket that was better and left. And then Freeze tried to qualify with the Ninjas and Pajamas team that had Zoro Zero, Nukeduck, Mithy, and then Nukeduck and Mithy got banned for a bit. And then I think Freeze was kind of on his own. So was that kind of just a natural occurrence of like, hey, Freeze, you're without a team, come here? Or did something else play out for bringing him back?
I think it's just the same thing that happens every time we had the roster change. We just like, okay, player is gone now. who's the best player we can get, you know? It's like, if we don't know anyone, we look solo kill ladder. Søren and Airwaks were just pick off solo kill ladder, you know? Like, we didn't even talk to them properly before we picked them.
Right.
So for Freeze, we already knew he's a good player. Maybe some people considering him toxic. We've played with him before. Let's, you know, let's go, let's do it. We're gonna pick the best player and make it work like we always did. So I think, this was our thought process always. So just pick good player and then make it work in synergies somehow. But actually, I want to say something about the relegations, because it was kind of funny. As I said before, relegations were our comfort zone, and those specific relegations were really weird because they flew us all the way to NA.
Right. Yes, you played in
EU.
NA. I remember that now. That was weird.
And I remember seeing like H2K, and they're like kind of like shaken, and then like they're like in a new environment. They're like all like, you know, their body language says that they're super uncomfortable. And we felt like super chill. We were just watching like Sword Art Online that was coming out at the time together, like on the TV or something.
Just chilling watching that.
I remember I made the point specifically to go like when I was passing H2K to like just smile a lot, you know, because I was seeing them so scared that like them seeing me smile will make them even more like uncomfortable. So we just had a lot of fun that series. We just played, had fun, and felt like it was super easy to win. Like we didn't even have to try much.
That actually does remind me. I'll ask you about another piece about the moving, but yeah, you brought back a memory. I totally forgot about that, because from what I remember, Freak and Zyrene would cast both NA Challenger and EU Challenger. So they did both. So for some reason, they, instead of flying 2 casters out, they flew like 30 players to LA. So Riot's logic is a little whack at times.
Yeah, I don't know, but we had fun. Free trip to NA. Sign me up, you know, like we enjoyed it.
Of course, yeah. Going to Los Angeles, I mean, no problems there, having fun. But that definitely probably affected some teams. I mean, you and Gambit qualified, and then Unicorns of Love made that crazy comeback.
For sure, it's worse for the teams that just formed and like don't have much experience. You know, like traveling so far away from home and like to a completely new environment. Even the flight, like it's so long, you know, you're gonna be jet lagged. Like all this can mess up with your performance really easily if you're not used to it.